Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video in my vehicle at work. As usual, trying to avoid this being in the camera sight. But anyway, so this is what's going on, man. My predictions for James Harden and Russell Westbrook possibly wanting out of Houston has come to fruition. I am not Brandon Stradamus. You can just kind of read the tea leaves. Look, they went from having one of the best infrastructures there in Houston with Mike D'Antoni, obviously. My mind is going blank, but their general manager, Morey, who just went to Philly, and they replaced him with Paul Silas's son, who's been a assistant coach for about 20 years now. Congratulations to him, but I hate to tell him this, but there was no way in hell he was going to be coaching both James Harden and Russell Westbrook this season. There was no way in hell. The only way that happens is if they couldn't find a trade for them. Because at the end of the day, they were used to playing a certain style. They already were two pieces that didn't fit in the conventional style. But when you take that special style away, they really don't fit. So it's one of those situations where it's like, they shouldn't want to play with one another anymore. It shouldn't be personal. They just never fit on a basketball floor. And James Harden's situation is a little tricky because even if he wants to stay in Houston, it's a rebuilding situation. And if they want to get from under the cap, his contract is much more tradable than Russell Westbrook's in theory, because you never know who will go for what. But in theory, you would think Russell Westbrook is not going to bring you the type of haul that James Harden is, and is not going to get the type of inquiries and attention from other teams. So you had to figure James Harden was going to want out. It just makes no sense for him to want to stay there. I'm not patting myself on the back for seeing that coming. I'm more so wondering if everyone else saw it coming like I do. It was inevitable. So now that we're here and they're starting to announce what I said was coming to pass about 2-3 months ago, maybe not that long ago, about a month and a half ago. Now that this has come to pass, where do he go? Well, I tell you where he goes. Anywhere he wants, really. If you're James Harden, you have a destination in mind. You just tell them to send you there. If he wants to go to Brooklyn, Brooklyn has a fantastic package they can put together full of picks and players who are underutilized. If I'm Houston, I want Caris LeVert. I want Spencer Dinwiddie. I want one of them two bigs, either DeAndre Jordan or Allen. Yeah, they got some stuff that you want if you're the league. There's pretty much everybody in the league should want something off that Brooklyn team, to be honest with you. I would love to have Spencer Dinwiddie and Caris LeVert on this Laker team. That would be phenomenal to add those two type of players. But I think the problem with him going to Brooklyn is how in the hell does he coexist with Kyrie Irving? Both of whom are ISO players, both of whom need the ball in their hands, both of whom pound it more than average. I don't think that they coexist well at all. In fact, I would argue that they are a equally as bad fit as him and Russell Westbrook. I think that that's a terrible fit. But if I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I'm sitting here saying, can I get him? I'm not thinking about whether or not they fit. I'm bringing them here and we're going to figure it out. You got that type of talent, and you couple him with Kevin Durant, of whom you don't know how great he's going to be because of his his Achilles. You really don't know what you're getting from KD. Obviously, Kyrie Irving is made of glass. We all know that. We love Kyrie's game, but he's made of glass. James Harden stabilizes everything, to say the least. You're talking about a top 5 player in the entire league. But what he does for Brooklyn is he makes it so that they're not so reliant upon the health of those two players to get them to the playoffs. Kyrie can miss 25 games. KD can miss 25 games. And James Harden's going to run rampant through the West. Through the East. That's going to be easy for him. And so that's the way I look at it. You give him the Eastern Conference, boy. You got him going up against teams like the Hornets and the Bulls and the Knicks. He's gonna wear their asses out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to tell you, James Harden is gonna have a great time in the Eastern Conference if he finds his way there. So Brooklyn's a good fit, in my opinion. I think it's a good fit. It's not a good fit. Excuse me. It's not a good fit, but it's a place where Houston can get what they're looking for in terms of a package deal. They can get that from them. And it would be a place that he wouldn't hate going to, a contender Give him the best opportunity he's ever had at winning a championship, arguably. So, if you're him, you definitely wouldn't mind ending up in Brooklyn and play with KD again. Another place I like him in is Philly. Obviously, I've been dangling the idea that James Harden for Joel Embiid and maybe some other stuff to make it work makes a lot of sense. I don't like Ben Simmons on the Rockets as much as I like Joel Embiid on the Rockets, just simply because they have historically always had great centers. So for me, that just makes sense for their culture to bring in another big that they can rely upon that can make a bunch of all-star teams for them. And fill in the situation that they need, which is a size. More than anything else in the world, they need size. Joel Embiid gives him a new attitude, a new identity, turning a page from everything that we've known from them in the past, and gives him an opportunity to have a fresh start and a team where he can have the paint to himself. So it's a good fit for everybody involved, if you ask me. You make it work by bringing along more pieces from Philly, but overall, that to me makes all the sense in the world. Another spot that I think is interesting for James Harden is the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, obviously, right now, it's not so obvious, but what I'm hearing is that the Clippers are interested in acquiring Russell Westbrook in exchange for Paul George. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think that's a terrible trade for the Clippers. I would love for them to do it as a Laker fan. Please do that stupid stuff. Do that. I'm not a big fan of either one of those players at this point, but I'd definitely take Paul George over Russell Westbrook. We saw them both on the same floor together. We know who's more effective. It's Paul George. Stop the nonsense. It's a bad trade for the Clippers, and I hope they do it. Another place I think is interesting for Russell Westbrook particularly, well, James Harden would be great in the Clipper land because him and Kawhi Leonard, I think, would be hot and cold. They would play off each other well, so very well. And make it so that neither one of them would be tasked with doing the other person's job. Kawhi Leonard wouldn't have to score 30 points a game and just play defense, and James Harden wouldn't have to play the greatest defense, just score 100 points a game. I mean, the Clippers should run straight through the Western Conference and only to meet us and get defeated. But that is the best, I think, destination for James Harden fit-wise. I want to think about that, but I think the Clippers make a lot of sense there for him. For Russell Westbrook, I don't think anywhere really fits for Russell Westbrook. I don't think there's a single team in the league that fits Russell Westbrook. Nowhere. He brings up too much attention. He garnishes too much attention. Only for him to be bricking shots. He does pass the rock, but only when like the last possible second, basically. He's bricking everything from mid-range jumpers to three-point shots, and his athleticism, though, it's still there to a degree. It's nowhere near where it was when he was running things in this league. So making triple-double records and stuff like that, those days are probably over unless he finds himself in a situation where they just give him the ball. And the only place I can think of, honestly, is the New York Knicks. But even for them, it's like, why? You know, people would say, oh, you put booties in seats. Well, no one's going to be sitting in seats. It's all going to be TV revenue. And honestly, I think for the TV revenue, I don't think anybody wants to sit there and watch Russell Westbrook jack up a bunch of bad shots on a bad team. A bad team that's been bad forever. So, no. You do better trying to play the go young role if you're the Knicks. And if you're trading away anything, you certainly shouldn't be bringing back anybody that's 32 years of age. So, I think that makes no sense for the Knicks. But if the Knicks want to take a chance on Russell Westbrook, that would probably be the best fit for him. I hear Charlotte's in the conversation. I mean, teams that just don't have any identity at all can take a chance on Russell Westbrook, and he'll bring some Hall of Fame talent to their team. But in terms of him getting them anywhere and them winning anything with him, not happening. Another thing I'm looking at, well, I got to get back to work, to be honest with you guys. I'll make a separate video on other things I'm looking at. But thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.